The Dolor Factor is sponsored by Delia, a romantic paradise. Lime, value every moment. Illuminous, your transformation begins here.
Have you ever forgotten to pay bills, prepare meals, forget where you put something precious? Have you experienced not remembering something you would normally remember, but for some reason you can't? If you've experienced any of those things, you may say, I must be losing my mind, and laugh it off. You may even put your memory lapses down to stress. But depending on your age, you may rule out diseases that you think are age-dependent. Dementia is one of those diseases. It's associated with a decline in memory or other thinking skills severe enough to reduce a person's ability to perform everyday activities. People often wrongly term it as being senile. On this episode of Dolor Factor, my guest and I ask you to be receptive to learning about a disease that no exercise or leading healthy lifestyles can prevent. Can you recognize the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's? Do you know how it affects victims and their carers? Dementia is claiming more lives than you think. Hello and welcome to a new season of the Dolor Factor. We're very excited to take it here to you because we're starting here at our home, the Delia Resort in St. Lucia. So for St. Lucia, and thank you so much, Delia, for your continued support. But soon you're going to see us in Dominica. So if you haven't seen us filming out and about, maybe you might see us soon. So we're really looking forward to welcoming all our viewers from Dominica, and we have many, many of them. That's why we chose outside of St. Lucia. We're coming to see you first. Now in the new season, you're going to see some changes. You're going to see more footage, and you're going to see some of the subjects that we discuss are actually coming directly from you. If you haven't already joined our Facebook page, please do so. Dolor Factor. That is where you can say to us, this is what I'd like you to discuss, Delia. These are the guests we'd like you to see. And sometimes you can say, I'd like to be a guest and this is what I'd like to bring to the show. That was happening, so we decided we're going to listen to you and we're going to make sure that they're put together in the new series. So we really hope that you enjoy it. I particularly chose this topic today because the topic affects so many of us. Like I said in the pre-intro, we sometimes think that we're losing our mind because we're so stressed with work, because there's certain things happening in our lives. And really, it may be that, but it could also be something more serious. And I wanted to start with this because it is a disease that escapes no one. We cannot say we're not going to get it. We can't have all the exercise in the world, all the healthy lifestyle in the world. It's not going to prevent it. But there are ways, if you do get it, if you catch it early enough, like most diseases, you catch it early enough, there are things that you can do to make it better. So I want to thank you, Regina, our first guest, for bringing that to me and to my team's attention, that dementia is something that escapes no one. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little about yourselves and why dementia concerns you.
Well, I've been a licensed nurse for about 23 years, and I started off in California working with mental health. Mm-hmm. And I had a life change that caused me to go to a different state, and the state there had me more involved with dementia care. Mm-hmm. And what I actually ended up loving taking care of people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I realized as time went by that this disease is really affecting so many people around me, so many people in the world, but I've noticed that a lot of it's not diagnosed, and I learned that the memory part of it is we're missing it. We are not taking notice of it in the early stages. We're not taking notice of it in the early signs, and a lot of times we put it off as stress, and I'm really concerned about the research and trying to slow it down or cure it. As we know, there's no cure for it, and there's many forms of dementia, and a lot of it's being passed as being quote-unquote mad. And so I would like to bring to attention, help with the awareness, to bring alive that this is something that we can't escape. This is something that we can't ignore. To me, it's an unspoken epidemic that we're not taking notice of. So I would like us to pay attention to it and do something about it. There are many countries who aren't aware of it. They know about it, but they aren't doing anything about it.
Would you say in the Caribbean that we're prone to that? Especially as well, I think we confuse it with being senile, because we think dementia happens to old people, and it's not even dementia, they're just senile.
Right. Well, senile is actually the old term for dementia. And so, and they recognize it in older people, and so what they didn't recognize it in younger people. So about 100 years ago was when they decided that, or they found out with autopsies that it was Alzheimer's, and there were certain proteins that were causing the senile. So it then became a disease at that time. So it's no longer just a normal part of aging. And because when we forget things as we get older, we usually remember it later. We can retract, like if we forget where our keys are or something.
Oh yeah, I've done that. Do that all the time.
But we're able to retrace our steps and go and find them. Or the other thing that I always say too is, like, even if we went through all of our traces to find them and still can't find them, when they do pop up and we find them, we know what to do with them. With memory loss, they'll see them and not know what to do with them. So these are huge warnings. Yes, it's so super scary. But the little parts, when we have to start using Post-its on everything, some of it's normal and some of it's not. You just have to keep track of it. And if it's a concern for you, I would advise really getting it checked out. I would not ignore it.
But where were you based?
I was based in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. So that's where I learned a lot about the behaviors. I learned about the positive approaches to caring for them and trying to get more into their world. Whereas a lot of times in some facilities that I had been to and worked at, they were put in there and they were just medicated into zombie mode. And the training that I received is so not like that at all. It's totally engaging them, having them live a life like we would or like they would in their time. So their memories are becoming our memories, and we help them remember who they are and give them a dignity, their own dignity. And
so how did you get from Oregon to St. Lucia? Did you go to any other Caribbean islands first?
Well, I had visited Barbados a couple times, my husband and I. My husband loves the island, so he decided he wanted to move to the island, and for some reason we checked out a couple islands and we chose this one. This one seemed to be very friendly. St. Lucia's very friendly.
Oh yes, we are. And how long have you been in St. Lucia?
I've been living here for 2 years. I've come back and forth about 4 years. So.
And what are you doing in St. Lucia to help with dementia?
Well, I have started an organization to help people to learn how help families. What I'm trying to do is help families engage with their loved ones and help the caregivers. The other part of the disease is it affects the whole family. So caregiver support is extremely real too. The fatigue that caregivers are having is not enough attention towards either. And some of them are actually, there's a suicide rate with them that are higher. They contemplate suicide a lot higher than the normal average person. So my goal is to assist them, help them decrease their stress by helping them communicate with the person that has dementia. And so that I go into their homes and assess what they have going on, listen to what the family says and listen to what the person with Alzheimer's or dementia have. And then I just put together a plan of what's needed. And so it's usually geared toward the person and who the person is, and it depends on the type of dementia that they have. So different types of dementia require different types of care and understanding.
We're definitely going to go into that. I mean, we have to. But I know you also have an event coming up.
Yes.
Can you tell us briefly about that? We will expand on that a bit later.
Well, the first one is it's understanding the gems that we love, and it's a positive approach to how we care for people with dementia. We look at them as a person, and most people think of gems as precious. And so what we're trying to do is learn the gem inside the person, because when they have dementia, who they are is lost through the disease. And so we learned how precious they are, and then what we do is we respond to their behaviors. And our behaviors, we have to change who we are and how we respond, because they are not able to. Their brain is dying. So if they are having a negative behavior, our duty is to respond positively towards them.
So the people attending will be able to recognize some of those behaviors, and then you also tell them how they can deal with those behaviors.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, when we come back from the break, Regina's going to talk to us about the symptoms and the different types of dementia, because I think people don't understand them all. So make sure you stay with us. We'll be right back.